Hey there, everyone. It's that time again. This time I am currently working on version 3.3 of the Community Theme Creator. So this is just a sneak peek of the early access build that I plan to release this weekend on Patreon. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's see. We'll just go straight into the editor. And right off the bat, obviously we have a element toolbar here, and I'll cover that in a second. But the properties window or element properties panel has been upgraded again. The last build, I changed the lower half of the window with all the properties and aligned them correctly. This time I've worked on the top half, which you'll see in a second. But what you can see immediately is the search capability that I've built into the elements list. Okay, so for example, if I search for, the word arrow, okay, we've got 12 hits. If I do arrow up, we've got 3 hits. Okay, and just like in anything in Windows, you can search for each of those occurrences. So there's occurrence 1, occurrence 2, and the last occurrence. And then what's cool about this is if I were to right click on this element here and delete it, that essentially deletes all 3 elements that were previously in the search results. And hence we've got 0 hits now. Okay. If I just simply go back into undo deleted items, not only does it put the elements back in the list, obviously back on the editor, but reinstates the search results as well. Okay, so it is dynamic. So that should be of some great use. Now let's talk about the toolbar itself. Now we've got brand new icons. Pretty much everywhere in Community Theme Creator, even on the menus and the icons within the menus themselves, they've all been upgraded. In fact, I've redrawn them, saved them as SVG, and then with a basic converter that I'm currently working on, it converts that into XAML, and I was able to kind of internally define all these icons. Every single icon that's used in Community Theme Creator is now internally described within the application itself. So I no longer have all these PNG images embedded inside the app. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that they're drawn very cleanly, and PNGs, being vector based anyway, they do scale, but some of the PNGs I had weren't very clean to begin with. So whenever they scale up and down, you'll still see some kind of artifacting. Okay. Anyway, all the icons have been redone. So whatever icons you see over here for the elements, you'll see over here. Okay, they're all sharing the same thing. They've been done. They look pretty sharp, actually. So the toolbar, as you can see, all our elements, it's using the same rules with this orange background or yellow background. These are your parent controls or parent elements, where they can house an additional element or elements. Okay, just hovering over the element will give you tooltips, but right click on any of these icons, you can show labels, and then you can resize the dock in any kind of orientation you so choose. All right. I'm going to switch off the labels. All right. So for example, maybe you want your design window to look something like this, and that's fine, right? So I'm just going to exit and go back in. And it's remembered for the next time around, okay? However, I like it, vertically. And not only can you alter the size and orientation of the toolbar itself by pressing the left control key, and with a scroll wheel on your mouse, you can scale up and scale down the window itself, which is similar to how the element properties panel window works as well. All right. Okay. So what does this buy you? Well, before, whenever you wanted to add an element, you would have to go up to the appropriate menu. All right. Sorry, you would have to go to the appropriate layer or grouping, go to the menu, and then select the UI element that you wish to add to this area. Then you would physically move that element, because it would always add it as the topmost element within that layer. And then you would drag it and move it into wherever you actually wanted it, okay? So now you can, so for example, I've got this layer highlighted, okay, or selected. I can double click, all right? Double click. And again, it will add it to the topmost portion of that layer. But if I delete these, and let's say I want a text element, I can just simply drag it and place it wherever I want, okay? And it doesn't have to be in the layer that's currently highlighted. I could simply just drag it anywhere I want, okay? And now when, in the case of adding text fields, you'll notice that you'll actually see the word text, text4, or whatever the element name is. So for example, in this one, when I dragged it into this top panel here, it says text4. Okay. So that way, instead of an invisible box, and then when you select the element, then it has the the adorner around the element, you can clearly see that this is a text field that you haven't assigned any values to. Okay. Same is true over here, although it's very, very dark. Let's sorry, it's white on a very light background. So let's just change the color, just so that you can, it would help if I hit OK. All right. All right. So as you can see, it's got the word text, and it would say text5, but it's constrained. Okay. So dragging and dropping elements from this toolbar into wherever you want on here. And let's see, let's just get rid of these two that I added. And like I said, you can add them any way you want. So I could take this one, for example, and I can put them anywhere here, like so. There it is. It's over here. And it's resized accordingly within its parent element. All right. And as you can see, this one's been grayed out because you're only allowed, well, in this case, you're only allowed one wheel on a view, Okay, so this wheel has already been added to the view, so therefore it's grayed out. But if I had gone in and let's say cut and actually removing it from the editor, now it's available to be added to the editor. All right, but we're just going to undo the delete. Let's see. I think I've covered everything on the toolbar. I have more plans for this, okay, that I won't go into right now, but this, as it stands right now, this should be very, very powerful and a hell of a lot easier for you to just simply pick whatever you want and just drag it wherever you want in the elements list, okay? Now, one of the other things too, like I said, I've upgraded the upper half this time round. So when you are dragging an dragging an element into the list, I'm not showing, these bubbles used to be half bubbles. Now I'm showing a full, ellipse or circle. And if I go to the topmost here, it's slow, and as I gradually move down, it accelerates. Okay. Same with the top one. Start here. As I move up closer to the top, it gets faster and faster. Okay. The same was true with the previous version, or the public version of Community Theme Creator, but I put more hit points in there for acceleration. Okay. And the other thing I've done too is when you're dragging an element and you want to place it somewhere in the list here, it's a lot more responsive. It's a lot more snappy. All right. And not so laggy. All right. So those are some of the changes here in the upper portion. And so let's head over to the editor side of things. And actually, let me just double click and add a rectangle here, just basic, and I'll just grab it. And you'll see that I hope you can see, is the smart guides are popping up more frequently as it's detecting edges, top, left-hand edge, right-hand edge. It should detect middle as well. Let's see. It's not quite middle. Oh, I had it. There you go. Middle. And that goes with that goes for anything here. All right. As you can see, the smart guides are popping up pretty frequently. All right. So what I've done, I've changed the calculations a little bit and made them a little bit more relaxed as far as detecting where other elements are on the screen and where you are in relation to, moving the selected element. I'm also performing these calculations asynchronously, so they're actually being done in the background instead of holding up all the visual updates as you're moving stuff around. Okay. So all those calculations are being done in the background, and then if there are any edge detections or you're in the center of an element or anything like that, the guidelines, the smart guides will show up. All right. So, some performance changes there, and obviously if you rely on smart guides, then they'll appear more frequently and assist you with your positioning of elements. Let's see. Oh yeah. So what I noticed, if you have videos playing on your view And depending on how complex your view is, it could have an awful lot of elements. The size of the video itself could be pretty big on the view. That's a lot of rendering, okay? Especially when you're in the editor. So when it comes to actually kind of repositioning these windows, for example, or your toolbar, or you want to resize it, okay, it was very, very laggy. So what I've done is pretty much across the board, any window that pops up while you're in the editor, color dialog, animation editor, visibility conditioning, all those kind of pop-ups, user source, text editing, all those kind of pop-ups while you're in the editor. Anytime that you wish to move them, okay, it will pause all videos. So even if the videos were inside a wheel, they'll be paused too until you actually complete movement, okay, like so. Just so that you don't get this major lag, all right? Let's see, I think that is probably going to cover it. There were a couple of missteps. I'm not going to mark it as a bug, but there was, I don't know, I think it was just an oversight on my part. But on the system view, let's see, and I'll just go into the editor. I never allowed a text scroller on the front end screen, the system options screen, system options view. Don't know why. I don't know how I missed that, but obviously you're allowed text scrollers on the system view. So it wasn't apparent until I actually put all the available UI elements that you could possibly add to a given view. I kept seeing that the text scroller was not visible, and I was like, why? Okay. And I figured out, for whatever reason, I had coded it in a way that it wasn't available. So anyway, it's available. I'm just letting you know, just in case you were ever wondering if it was a big box thing or a community theme creator thing. It was a me thing, okay? Let's see. Now, I did mention that I am working on a SVG to XAML converter, and I can demonstrate that real quick. It's, you know, it's not anything fancy at the moment. Actually, it doesn't have to be fancy. So I've actually been using this to drag my own SVGs in, because like I said, I had to hand draw or redraw all my icons for Community Theme Creator, and obviously I needed to convert them into XAML code, so I had to write this converter. But before that, I was just playing around with some SVGs that were already out there. So as you can see, I don't know, yeah, all right. And I won't go further than that because some of these are just far too complicated and I have not added the necessary conversion logic, okay? But that's where I'm going with that. It's a part-time project. But obviously the goal being is that I'd love to support SVG file types in Community Theme Creator and not rely on a third party where they're not maintaining the code anymore. Okay, so I'd rather do it myself and be able to support any kind of SVG that you come up with that doesn't convert quite correctly, and that would allow me to kind of take a look and see where I'm going wrong in the code. All right. Whereas, like I said, if I used a third party, and they haven't maintained the code in years, there's no guarantee that they're, you know, even if I bug them, there's no guarantee that they're going to change the code. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of share some of the progress for 3.3. Obviously, I've got a lot more work to do, and a lot more features to add, including some of the you know, the top X entries that are on the Patreon poll. Okay, so it's not like I'm ignoring that. I tend to kind of throw in my own, and then look at the poll and start adding all the new features and stuff from the poll. All right. But anyway, that's the progress made on 3.3 so far. I hope you like it. I've had a blast kind of just obviously testing it and using it. Obviously, I haven't constructed any themes using it, but certainly playing around with it and maintaining some of my existing themes has been a lot faster and a lot easier to use while in the editor. And like I said, this weekend I plan to release what you've just seen as an early access build on Patreon. All right, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So until the next posting on Patreon or the next video, whichever comes first, take care, everyone. I'll see you guys soon.